Hello everybody and happy 2019, and before you ask, yes, I did decide that today doing a full face of makeup was more important than wearing actual pants. But these have pandas on it, so it's cute and it's cool, okay? Okay. Vanity is sort of the subject of this video, kind of, sorta. Recently, I read this book, Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. However you pronounce his last name, he's the same dude that's the reason why we don't talk about Fight Club. See, I read this a while ago, and it's been on my brain a lot, partially because I wanted to make a video about it, and it just never came out right every time I tried to record it. But also, like, how do you talk about a book like this? Because there are just so many messed up things that happen throughout the course of this book, and how does one talk about those things? So if you haven't read this book, there's a lot of things that people would probably consider very offensive throughout this book. There's a lot of discussion about gay rights. Not really, but kind of. There's some controversy on that element. It more has to do with like the transgender, transsexual element. There's a lot of vanity, there's a lot of oddities, there's a lot of really disturbing things. There might be some things that might trigger some people in here. She's a fashion model who is everything: a boyfriend, a career, a loyal best friend. But when a sudden freeway accident leaves her disfigured and incapable of speech, she goes from being the beautiful center of attention to being an invisible monster. So this book follows this fashion model, and it kind of has this non-linear timeline. So events are brought up more in terms of their relevance rather than how it actually occurred in a real-life timeline. So I'm going to kind of break it down in more of a linear timeline, as in the order in which events actually occurred rather than how it's presented in the book, which is based more on relevancy. We start off in the land of before. She has this brother who she kind of hates because he gets so much more attention than her. He has this major accident that basically just destroys his face. And then he gets an STD in the throat, and his parents kick him out because they think he's gay and they don't want a gay person living in their house. Fast forward a few months, they get a call that their son is dead. Fast forward again, this lady, she gets a career as a fashion model. She has a best friend who's great, if not a little bit snobbish, but that's okay because she's kind of snobbish too. She has this boyfriend, fiance, cop person in her life. You know, everything's coming up roses. And then she has an accident.
Uh-oh, a dirty diaper.
She's just driving along, right? And then, bullet hits her right in the face. So she goes to the hospital, she gets treated, they talk to her about plastic surgery. She's not really sure about it because the whole process is just complicated, and they do go over in some amount of detail like what that would look like with her. She meets this person, Brandy Alexander, Queen Supreme, one operation away from becoming a real woman who will teach her that reinventing yourself means erasing your past and making up something better. And there's just a whole bunch of chaos that follows meeting Brandy Alexander. So why has this book been on my brain so much, you're probably wondering? Well, that's where we get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't read this book and you want to go read it, go read it. It's definitely interesting. Okay, so big, huge spoiler. If you're still here after that warning of spoilers, what is wrong with you? This is the biggest spoiler I'm probably going to give you. Brandy Alexander is the main character's brother come back to life as sister, Queen Supreme. And the accident that the brother had way back when that completely destroyed his face was not an accident. No, he purposely put a full can of hairspray into a fire to let it explode all up in his face. He doesn't even want to be a woman. That's just the biggest mistake that he can think that he can make. Dude, like every character in this book has some like super major flaw that just, it makes you hate them, but at the same time, there's this weird sort of relatable quality to them. Like, I would never do that, but I get it. These people are not just trying to throw away their lives so much as actually earn what they get. They've had pretty privileged lives and they don't feel like they've earned what they're given, and so they're trying to sort of take away that comfort zone of just living with what they're given and basically kind of throw that away so that they can feel like they've earned anything that they do get. So while you can't necessarily agree with what the characters are doing, I feel like there is something to say about their motivation. They're doing this as sort of a ridiculously extreme test of themselves. And I feel like that's a really interesting, like, overall, like, moral of the story. Let's jump back to the parents of the main character and her brother. The parents just go on, like, this mega gay rights kick. And they are straight up nutty about it. It's like they are having grotesque discussions about gay sex at the table, dinner table, Christmas meal. They are, like, overly paranoid about hate crimes. The first time our main character calls her parents after the accident, she cannot talk. She is missing a major part of her job. But the parents, during this phone call from their daughter, is just like, this is a hate crime. We are experiencing a hate crime over the phone. Basically, throughout the whole book, anytime the parents were mentioned, I just kind of wanted to smack them because they were awful, and they're probably the reason why their kids ended up being so messed up that they would completely disfigure themselves. Because, oh yeah, the main character didn't actually have an accident. She shot herself in the face, because that's a thing that you do. Throughout the whole book, there's this sort of element of everything is done for attention. There's a few scenes where the main character and her best friend are at this department store, and they are so overdramatic anytime that they're there. Everything is just over-dramatized, like soap opera quality, over-dramatized. It's like these characters are being watched. They know that they're being watched, and they act as though they're being watched. A major part of the character's thinking revolves around other people. The acknowledgement that other people are there, the acknowledgement that other people are watching, and she kind of goes into this whole, like, what does it matter what you do if nobody sees it? She has this very other people-centric mindset where nothing matters unless somebody else is involved. What you do in secret isn't real. And I think recognizing that is where you can kind of get into that mindset of shooting yourself in the face just because. Because that was something that she did in secret. That was something that she explained away as a freak accident. Because when it happens in secret, it doesn't matter what actually happened. What matters is what other people think about it. It's all in terms of presentation, because it doesn't matter what actually happened, it matters what people see. The whole book is made up almost like a magazine article. Let's have this jump to whatever point that we're on now. So I feel like in that way, this book is really relevant today. I mean, just consider what I'm doing right now. I am standing in front of a camera presenting ideas to you. For all you know, I didn't even read this book, but as long as I present myself in such a way that it's like I read it, you know, it doesn't matter what actually happened. What matters is how you perceive what is happening before you. So it's a bit crazy, it's a bit offensive, it's a bit over the top in a lot of ways. But overall, it's a really, really interesting read. It's a really interesting book. And I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about the book? What did you think about the ideas presented in the book? What did you think about the presentation of the book? Just the way that it's written really adds to it in a lot of ways. If nothing else, subscribe for Simon. Simon wants subscriptions. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Oh, Papa, you need your nails trimmed.